It's too loud. Very loud. நல்லா பண்ணிக்கலாம். Less. இன்னும் கூட can make it less. You can make it less. Is it okay? காதல் அடிக்கிறதா ரங்கநாதன்? It's hitting the ears. It's okay. First he said, you speak words of wisdom, but you are not wise. Because what is the proof of wisdom? He says, you speak words of wisdom, Arjuna, but what is the end result of your wisdom? You are sitting in grieving. Therefore, what is the proof of? Now the question is, what is the proof of wisdom? The proof of knowing. The proof of wisdom, the proof of knowing is you can laugh at your foolishness. That's the proof. You understand something about you, and that understanding is causing grief. Sorrow, no, you have not understood it correctly. Therefore, he is saying, you are speaking like a wise man. But what is the proof of wisdom? The proof of wisdom is the ability to laugh. Laugh at what? Now we are very comfortable laughing at others' foolishness and not even aware of one's own foolishness. What is wisdom? Wisdom is you laugh at your own foolishness. You can understand your foolishness, so you are able to laugh at it. But you spoke like a wise person, and the end of wisdom is grief. How do you know? How can you say the proof of wisdom is the capacity to laugh? How can you say that? You can laugh only when you understand the foolishness, the childishness. It's so silly, but then your mind has been exaggerating it so much that you have been grieving. You understand that, you laugh, you smile. Compassionate towards others' foolishness and laughing at one's foolishness. Today it's exactly the opposite. Bitterness and hatred towards others' foolishness and loving and compassionate towards one's own foolishness. It's exactly the opposite. But then you spoke like a wise person. The mark of wisdom is no grief. Grieving implies you have a value, then only you grieve. You are counting a loss. Grief happens when you have a value. Something is valuable to you. You are able to count a loss. You are able to understand a loss. Then only grief comes. Monopoly money, you lose everything. Will you cry? You will not cry. Instead, you will laugh at what? The child is crying because you know the game Monopoly money, no? The child has lost. You are also losing. You laugh at your loss and you sympathize with the child. You don't get angry at the child. You don't get bitterness at the child. You don't develop hatred towards the child. Therefore, the proof of knowing, the proof of wisdom is the capacity to to laugh. Wisdom doesn't make you serious. Wisdom makes you to laugh. Exactly the opposite is the misunderstanding towards philosophy, towards religion itself. Because it's always a serious affair, a serious matter. It's not serious. If you are truly wise. But then you spoke like a wise man and you are grieving. It means you have not understood even the very first step. And if the first step itself is wrong, down the line, all the conclusions that you are going to come to is bound to be wrong. It's like mathematics. First step is wrong. Sometimes the answers can be right also. Yeah, starting step is wrong, answer is right. Now the teacher knows that you have copied the answer from. And yeah, they will put 0. Why? Because you have copied the answer. Copying the wisdom of the ancient masters. You spoke like a wise man, but you are not wise. What is the wisdom of the ancients? The wisdom of the ancient is only one. What? The wisdom of the ancient is only one. Not to be serious in relation to anything of the world. Not to be serious about. Seriousness implies you have a value. You have a value because it looks. You have a value because it appears real to you. The highest philosophy says it's only true. What is that two? Gone? Going. Correct. Gone and going. What are you grieving about? What is there to be serious about? And yet, you are grieving. Then he went on to say, this I that you think that you are going to lose, what you think that you are losing, what you think that you are grieving, didn't exist at all in the first place. The existence can never be lost. Never indeed was I not. Atvevaham jatunasam natvam neme. Never indeed was I not. Nor you, nor these rulers of men, Arjuna. Never indeed was I not. Also, none of us will cease to be hereafter. We are here stuck for eternities. Brahman, the truth is there. So what are you crying about? What do you think that you are losing, that you are crying about? You have a wrong understanding. The I doesn't go. The I doesn't leave. The consciousness doesn't leave. The reality doesn't leave. The reality doesn't change. What changes? What goes? What leaves? The untruth is that which keeps changing. Reality is the same. Truth is the same. Lies can be many. Truth is always one. In million ways you can lie. Truth can be said in only one way. And what is the way of the truth? The way of the truth is nothing but a repetition. Truth can only be repeated again and again and again. You can't say new. You can't say new truths. Why talk the same thing, sir? Why not talk something different? Why can't you be original and talk something? Whether original or not original, the truth is the same, and it can only be reiterated. It can only be said the same thing again and again and again. He repeated it. Arjuna didn't understand. He compromised one step lower, and then he said, don't worry, Arjuna. In the process of transmigration, in the process of reincarnation, everyone keeps appearing again and again and again. Don't think that they are all going to die. Somewhere they are going to Continue. So even here, why are you grieving? Because you are only grieving over the loss of the body. If you have to grieve over the loss of the body that you had when you are an infant is lost. And you got the body of a youth. The body of the youth is lost and you are having another body now. And this body will be lost for some other body. So even then what is there to grieve? Because if you are grieving for the loss of the body, you have to be constantly, correct, you have to be constantly grieving only. But Adana sir, we are doing all the time. We are only constantly grieving, no. Just as the embodied goes through various things in one body, it leaves one body and takes up another body. Will I know where the person went? Even here you will be interested only in all the things that you cannot. Even this you can't understand. Even this becomes too much. Verse number 14 that we were studying last week. He said, practice titiksha. That's all. Nothing can be said anything different from this. If you can't do all this, practice titiksha. What is titiksha? Titiksha is the capacity to put up with inconveniences cheerfully. It's an inconvenience, but you put up with it cheerfully. Your inconvenience, not. When it comes to others, you make sure that no inconvenience is caused to the other. But when inconveniences come to you, what you should do? Put up with it. Why can't you adjust, sir? Yeah, you will talk about adjustment too, but you can't adjust. The philosophy is exactly the opposite. So here he says, if you can't understand this, practice titiksha. What is titiksha? Titiksha is because the situations that you encounter in life, the experiences that you encounter in life will be of not your preferences, will be not of your likes and every human being is desperately trying to create a situation or to convert the situation according to their likes and dislikes. When the situation doesn't turn according to your likes and dislikes, according to your preferences, you call that as a problem. A problem is a situation not according to your preference, not according to your likes and dislikes, that's all. So how much ever you try and set it right, the problem still remains. You follow what I am saying? Practice titiksha, because in the course of life, the experiences, the situations, the environment will be not of your likes and dislikes. Why the world doesn't cater to your likes and dislikes? Why the world cannot cater to your likes and dislikes? Why it cannot cater to your likes and dislikes? It cannot cater to your likes and dislikes because you do not know what you want. That's why. Even if the world wants to cater, it's confused because no one knows what they want, he says. How much ever it caters to your likes and dislikes, still the difficulty still remains. What is the difficulty? The difficulty of pairs of opposites. The difficulty of the pairs of opposites. What are the pairs of opposites? Pleasure and pain, heat and cold, joy and sorrow, Life is these pairs of opposites and mind exaggerates. Life is these pairs of opposites and mind exaggerates. It exaggerates pleasure, it exaggerates pain, it exaggerates joy, it exaggerates sorrow, it exaggerates success, it exaggerates failure. Because mind is that which has to exaggerate. Your exaggeration looks justifiable to you, while others' exaggeration looks very unreasonable. Why are you, why can't you adjust us? Why are you like this? Philosophy class means we should adjust. No. Yeah. They exist. Either you transcend them or you can endure them. You can't change them. That's what Titiksha is all about. Through tapas, through knowledge and wisdom, you can transcend them. If you are not doing tapas, if you are not transcending, you can only endure. But what is not possible? Changing them is not possible. Changing them is not possible. What is that you want to change? You want to change a situation to your pattern of likes and dislikes. That's the constant struggle that every human being has. They want to change everything according to their likes and you misread the situation. You misunderstand it. You have a wrong expectation. You wrongly assess. All this combined, put together, turns the situation into a problem. All this combined put together turns the situation into a problem. What is the situation? Cyclone is the situation. It's not a problem. It is only a situation. The power of nature knows us. We are nothing in compared to that power, no sir. The street next to where I am living, 4 cars lined one after the other. One big tree fell and all the 4 cars got smashed. Huge cars came down to the site of this thing. And people were taking photographs. Selfie, correct. Selfie also. Power of nature, sir. We can't do anything. Because that 4 cars is not your car, that's all. If in that 4 car, any one of yours is, any one car is yours, the whole complexion changes. Understand? What is the situation? 4 car is smashed is the situation. When it turns into a problem. When it turns into a problem. When the situation turns into a problem. You feel it is others. When the situation turns into a problem. Mindness. The mindness causes the problem. Tree falling on the car is not the problem. Tree falling on my car is the problem. If it is not, even if it is your car, if there is no mindness, even if it is your car, if there is no mindness, you glorify the power of Vayu Bhagavan. Yeah. What a power? What a power he had. See, the birds were getting I don't know who was outside to see that sight. At least we were outside, no? I said the whole time, I said, come out. If tree falls on our head and if we die, nothing will happen. So we were out on the street. Because where do you get another chance to see all this? Now if you understand that and if you go inside, you will be able to appreciate the blessings of the house. If not, sitting inside the house, you will say, why no power? Why you don't even count the. Right. She saw the birds flying, poor things, flying and getting hit against the wall, getting hit against the post. Something is dead half, something is dead 60%, something is dead 30%. Another bird coming in, picking on, all happening at the same time. You stand there and watch that. It's a situation. It's not a problem. The same situation turns into a problem when it is when you unintelligently connect, when you wrongly assess. A situation turns into a problem. As I was coming to the class, I saw a child falling and getting fractured. Supposing if I tell you that, you will say, that's okay, sir. Life level, na? In life it happens. No, getting fractured and all, it happens. I forgot to mention who that person is. That's your child, na? You will feel like throttling me. So what kind of man, I was sitting and talking Gita, we should be sitting in the hospital. Now, situation is the same. It turns into a problem when you wrongly assess, when you wrongly identify, the situation turns into a problem. So, life doesn't give problems. That's why that man was asking, sir, why only Madras, sir? I said, as though in the totality, the whole totality is ganged up against Madras and they want to wipe away Madras. Why only Madras? It's a situation, because in the totality, these things bound to happen. Nothing can be done about it. All that you can do is what? You can transcend your mindness and become liberated, free, or suffer in mindness. And to that person who is suffering in mindness, say, practice titiksha is the most painful advice to give. Practice tiksha, and yet nothing else can be done. Practice tiksha. Why? Because it is the starting point of this understanding that takes you to moksha. That's why he is saying all this. He is not interested in making your life comfortable here. Practice titiksha so that you can be happy, you can live a joyful life. That's not what he is. That's not his interest. His interest is in only one. What? Liberation, immortality. How to help you to attain liberation. But we are not interested in liberation, no sir. We are not interested in liberation. We want to solve our problems now. We want to worry about how to solve our problems now is what we are interested in. Liberation and all we'll see. It is impractical, sir, all that is. Let us be practical. And all your practical wisdom, only one thing you can do. What? Practice titiksha. You cannot change. Why you cannot change? Why you cannot change? To change, it has to be under your control. It has to be under your control. Then only you can change. What is it under your control? What is it that is not under your control? This is the basic clarity of life that every human being needs. What is it that can be controlled? Your mind can be controlled. What is it that can never be controlled? Anything other than that can never be controlled. And everyone tries to control everything other than the mind. That's why no solution seems to work, and the problems are getting bigger and bigger. Again I repeat, in life there are only the basic clarity. What is it that can be controlled? What is it that is under your control? What is it that is not under your control? What is it that is under your control? Your mind can be brought under your control. Carefully follow. It can be brought, provided you do the right things. What is it that can never ever be controlled? Anything other than mind. Out of ignorance, out of foolishness, out of delusion, the human being tries to control everything else. In that attempt, they create problems for themselves. Therefore, Arjuna, practice titiksha. They are impermanent. They are impermanent. Impermanent in the sense it has a temporary existence. Impermanent. Understand the definition of impermanency. Impermanent means it has a temporary existence. Didn't exist in the past, exists now, will not exist in the future, is impermanent. So impermanency doesn't mean non-existing. Impermanency means a temporary existence. The crux is, what is the period of temporary? How temporary it is? It depends upon the intensity of your mindness. It depends upon the intensity of your mindness. If your attachment is too strong, the period will be very long. In the sense, someone might have made a remark 40 years back, and you can still feel agitated about it. Still that thing is burning, waiting to take revenge. And that much I know, how everyone takes revenge on me, I know. Because now you have no choice but to sit and listen to me non-stop for 1 hour, 15 minutes. You should see what happens before class and after class. Everyone takes revenge. The discourse that I get in return. I know, it's a revenge. It's waiting to, only you think. Impermanent means it has a temporary existence. That temporary period is dependent upon the intensity of your wisdom or ignorance. More wise, shorter is the duration. Completely wise, it ceases to exist. More the ignorance, longer the duration of what? Longer the duration of your affectation. They come and go. They are impermanent. Endure them. Practice titiksha. And why do I have to practice titiksha? What is the need for practicing titiksha? What is the necessity for practicing titiksha? Because it is this titiksha that qualifies you for liberation. It is the titiksha. Because when you are fighting with it, when you are fighting with anger, the anger goes on increasing. That's why Vedanta doesn't advocate fighting. Vedanta says, turn your back, ignore and keep moving. And today we have lost the technique of what it is to ignore. Again I repeat. Anything you fight with, the intensity increases. You fight with anger, the intensity of anger increases. You fight with greed, the intensity of greed increases. You fight with jealousy, the intensity of jealousy increases. That's what in Ramayana, Rama hides behind the tree and shoots at Bali. He hides behind the tree and shoots Bali. Don't encounter them directly, but the ego of the human being makes them to believe that it ought to be, want to fight and conquer. It's the animalistic, to fight and conquer, to fight and conquer. What are you fighting? The jealousy is your wrong understanding. The greed is your wrong understanding. Now what are you fighting? You can't fight. More you try to fight, more focused you become on anger. More focused you become on anger, you get more angry. Why? Because you do not have the objectivity to look at it. You do not have the detachment to look at it. You do not have the objectivity to look at it clearly. Therefore what happens? It goes on increasing. How much ever I try, why is it still the same? Because you are trying to, what are you trying? You are trying to fight it. What is the other way? Step number 1, practice titiksha. Step number 2, develop the right understanding. Step number 1, practice titiksha. Step number 2, develop the right understanding. Because it's the law. It's the law. In understanding, in knowledge, in awareness, all that is negative will drop by itself. Take it or leave it, it doesn't make any difference. The law is this. In awareness, in knowledge, in wisdom, all that is negative will drop by itself. All that is positive will grow by itself. Try and get angry consciously. You will start laughing at yourself. Love grows. Anger, you don't have to make an effort to get rid of anger. All that you need to do is what? Develop the right understanding. Develop the right understanding. To look at it so clearly. To look at it so penetratively. That's what clarity is all about. That's what intellect is all about. That penetrating capacity. You look at it so clearly, you start laughing at it. Because there is nothing there, and what you made out of it, where there is nothing. Understand it like this. Another problem, you are able to look at it so penetratively. That's why you are able to say, why are you making it a big issue? You are able to say that. Why? Because you are able to look at it so penetratively. When it comes to your own things, you are not able to look at it. You follow? What you need to do is, step number 1, practice titiksha. Step number 2, develop the right understanding. Learn to look at it clearly. To learn to look at it clearly, the entire Bhagavad Gita is there. 700 verses is there, trying to help you to look at it clearly. In that understanding, what happens? All that is negative will drop by itself. You try and fight with the negativity directly, it will increase. It will increase. The other way is what? The right understanding. What is the right understanding? Not to conquer anger, but to understand the root of anger. Carefully understand the difference now. Not to conquer attachment, but to understand the root of attachment. Vedanta says understand the root. After understanding the root, if it is still there, conquer. But if you go to the root of it, you understand what? It's just not there. Like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's example, it's like peeling onions. You peel and peel and peel. Finally, what you will be left with? Not even a seed. Nothing will be left. Nothing will be left. Except the dirty smell in your hand, he says. Beautiful example he gives. It's like peeling. What you see, that peeling is the process of knowledge. That peeling is the process of understanding. You do it again and again and again. Finally, what you will encounter, what you will see, there is nothing there, and you have been unnecessarily straining. Easy, sir, because it's not your problem. No. Easy because it's not your problem. When it is your problem, how can one do that? How can one understand that? That's where I said, how to practice titiksha. How to practice titiksha? Practicing titiksha is an understanding that life creates situations, wrong understanding turns a situation into a problem. Situation is not your creation, problem is your creation. Instead of solving the problem, we want to change the situation. Futile is that exercise. Again I repeat, the situations are not your creation, problems is your creation. That's why Vedanta says all problems are self-created. But the situation is not your creation. What is the situation? The cyclone is a situation which you didn't create. But the cyclone turning into a problem is your creation. How did you create it? How the situation turned into a problem? By wrong understanding. Since it is a wrong understanding, develop the right understanding. And to develop this right understanding there is a time factor involved. During the time factor, what to do? Practice titiksha. Practice titiksha. One thing don't try and fight with it head on. Don't try and take your negativities head on. Instead, ignore. Ignoring can happen only when you understand the hollowness of it. Otherwise you can't ignore. The child makes a remark, you can ignore that remark. When? When can you ignore that? Only when you understand the hollowness of it. Only when you understand the child is saying, not knowing what the child is saying, then sometimes in anger, the child looks at the mother and says, I hate you, I don't like you, I hate you. What the mother does? Mother doesn't start crying. Mother doesn't start hitting the child. What the mother does? Laughs at it. Mother laughs at it and she keeps going. Because of what? Is that right? The child doesn't know what it is. The child doesn't know what it is talking. And if you were to get affected, then what it is? You are another? It means you are another child. And two children are bound to have? Therefore, Arjuna, practice titiksha. The sense contacts. Now technically, Now I've been giving examples and philosophy, now technically understand. The sense contacts are all limited by nature because the capacity of the senses is limited. Number one. Number two, senses are not meant for enjoyment. Senses are meant as the window through which the world enters you. Senses are not meant for indulgence and enjoyment. That's why the sensual indulgences, the joy content diminishes very fast. Because the senses are not meant for indulgence. The senses are there so that the world can enter you. But what happens? Instead of understanding this, the senses are being used for, the senses are seen as an instrument for happiness, enjoyment. Therefore what happens? Sorrow comes. The sense contacts are impermanent. The sense contacts are impermanent. Number two, the senses are not meant for indulgence. The senses are meant so that the world can enter you through the five senses. The world enters you. And it is the mind that interprets. Eyes are designed to see. Pleasant and unpleasant, good and bad side is not of the eyes, it is of the Is it of the eyes or is it of the mind? It is of the mind. That's why even if you close your eyes, it still continues. You follow what I am saying? The senses are not meant for, but today what has happened? The senses are seen as the source of enjoyment. The senses are seen as the only source of enjoyment. It diminishes very fast, Arjuna. Endure them. Even then it is wise to practice Tiksha. Even there it is wise to practice Tiksha, because that which caused happiness, the first contact that caused happiness will not be the happiness at the fifth contact. But you will continue to contact because of a kind of addiction, that's all. You will continue to, the first contact, there is a happiness. The fifth contact, the happiness diminishes. 15th contact, you still continue. Why? That's the state of addiction. That's the state of addiction. First comes the joy. Here you are misled. What? Contact is giving joy. If I contact more, it should give more joy. Tragically, what happens? More you contact, the joy content becomes less and less and less. A time comes where there is no joy at all. What is known as the state of neutralization. At the state of neutralization, the person continues to contact. Why? Not having it is displeasure. See, coming to the class there is no pleasure, but not coming to the class you feel you are missing something. Now you are only, it is nothing but an addiction. Mind is that which can get addicted to. Mind is that deadly thing. Gets addicted to anything, it will get addicted to. It doesn't matter. The higher and lower is of no consequence. It simply knows how to get. And addiction starts because of what? The contact. The first contact that gave you a wrong impression of happiness. The first contact that gave the wrong impression of happiness makes you to, drives you to contact again and again and again, thereby losing the joy content. We have heard this example many a times. Again I repeat. The person who has never tasted alcohol at all, the first peg gives him first peg. Gives that kick. Continuously drinking, lost it. Now what he does, he has to double it. 2 pegs to get the joy content doesn't become twice. The joy content is the same, but the price you pay is twice. Then you get neutralized to that also. You get neutralized to that also. A quarter, half a bottle. Yes, a time comes where you can drink one whole bottle of alcohol and no joy at all. And then if you may ask, why are you drinking? That man says, without it, it is painful. In the level of the senses, it's neutralization. At the level of the mind, it is attachment. That's why in attachment also the same law works. When the person is around, there is no joy. When the person is not there, you have to send a message. I miss you. Do you miss me? You say, thank God I ran away from you. Why will I miss you? Same thing at the level of the senses, the same thing at the level of the mind. When it is there, there is no joy. But not having it is so painful. That's where the knowledge says, the mind doesn't know what it is seeking. If it wants now, hold on to. But then holding on to, it loses the joy. Why it loses it? Because it doesn't have the right understanding. What is the understanding? The joy that is derived through the senses are temporary by nature. If you understand that, then the query comes. Is there any source of permanent joy? Then the query comes. Now to say moksha is the blissful state, liberation is now all this will not make any sense, because we are still trying to derive joy through the senses. All discoveries are aimed at what? All inventions, all discovery is aimed at, is directed to what? Is aimed at what? Is aimed at the senses. Because it is that first point of contact. And at the first point of contact, you should be floored. After that, you have it. Yeah. The food has to appear, look good first, because the first sense that contact the food is the eyes. First thing is it has to look good. Yeah. And then it has to smell good. Upon the last only the done. And food is that is related only to the, but then it doesn't work like that. So if I have to make you fall for it, what I should do? How to make all the senses Huh? Fall. If more senses are attracted, more the fall, because no one has this understanding. What is understanding? The sense contacts are impermanent. Therefore, when you are in contact, understand, even this shall pass away. Not after the contact is over to say, even this shall pass away, doesn't work. While you are in the contact, you are supposed to say, even this shall pass away. The king of Persia said that. In the court, he said, wealth will pass. On the marriage day, he said, even this shall pass away. And the javelin pierced through. In pain, he said, this will pass away. When he was dying, even this shall pass away. This maturity is required. It's a maturity. This maturity is required so that you can be prepared for moksha, liberation. And what is moksha, liberation? To understand liberation, you should understand that which bondage is. The value of liberation is directly proportionate to the suffocation of bondage. If you are not suffocated by bondage, liberation will be of no use. You are suffocated because you are not having money, you are not having wealth. That drives you to seek wealth. A person who has wealth is not driven to, but then he is seeking something. You follow what I am saying? If you have to seek something, you should experience the suffocation of not having it. Today, there is no suffocation of bondage. Therefore, any amount of talk on liberation is useless. And freedom is freedom from the mind. Freedom is not from the environment. Freedom is not from the husband. Freedom is not from the wife. Freedom is not from the children. Freedom is from your own mind. Because that which causes bondage is your mind. Therefore, freedom is from the mind. So wherever you go, you carry the seed of attachment in you. You carry the disease of attachment in you. That's why any place you go, you drop that seed and create the tree of Shankaracharya in Bhajagovindam. He says, the man has left everything behind, has only the begging bowl as he has only a begging bowl as his possession. In the middle of the night, is touching to see whether it is there or not. Left everything behind, getting attached to the begging bowl, getting attached to. Ramatita gives his example. The man leaves everything, comes and gets attached to the tree in the mountains, in the Himalayas, saying, my tree. Don't sit under my tree. Go and sit under. In the early stages of his life, Ramana was living in, there was no ashram built. So he was living in some caves. Now how to live in the same cave? So he kept on moving. So two fellows started associating with him. So as they were leaving from one cave to the other cave, he rolled over a stone and blocked the entrance of the cave. Ramana looked back and said, what are you doing? No. Gate is there, you can lock and keep the keys and check whether We were there or not. Now what to do with the mouth? He rolled over. He said, no, when we come back, so that we can. He said, what to teach to that? Now what can be taught to that man? He is living in a cave, moving from one to the other. Anything that you associate with, the mind starts claiming ownership. That's why in the practice of sannyas, they say, not more than 3 days in a place. Here we are, janmas after janma, we want to stay put. The practice, they say, not to stay for more than 3 days in a place. You know, he doesn't stay for more than 3-4 days in a place. Even in the academy, he doesn't stay for more than 3-4 days. He constantly, why? More than 3 days, you should not stay in a place. If he comes for the lecture tour, that evening lectures get over, next morning he is out. Mind is that which starts claiming ownership if it is associates. For example, you come into this classroom, all chairs are empty. You will go and sit in one particular seat. Now, why you chose that seat? No reason. Simply, you can give some reason, but there is no reason. You just choose that seat and go and sit there. Observe yourself. Next week you come, you will be automatically walking towards that seat. Sometimes people sitting next to us, no, it's our seat. What's our seat? All seats belongs to Andhra Mailasappa. 8:45 Achina, they will switch off the mains and say, get out. Anything that you associate, the mind develops. The mind starts claiming ownership. The mind starts claiming ownership. How to associate and not claim ownership? That's detachment. To associate and not claim ownership. Again I repeat. Mind is that which, the moment you associate with something, it starts claiming ownership. It starts claiming ownership. You have to buy a book and write your name on my book. You have to write your name on the book. Satsangatve nisangatvam, he says. They have to be very careful on with what you associate, because you don't understand the deadly quality of the mind. Anything that it associates, it has to claim ownership. If ownership is not there, it becomes disinterested. For it to get interested, ownership is required. If ownership is not there, it becomes disinterested. It gets disinterested and says, leave it and go to the next. Because ownership is an unintelligent association. Ownership is nothing but an unintelligent mental association, and this unintelligent mental association is what is known as bondage. And liberation is from this bondage. That's why he says, my daughter. What is in the daughter that's yours? What is in the daughter that is? The DNA test at the you will know. No. Very clearly it will say, it is your daughter. What is yours? That is difficulty. What is in the daughter that is yours? What is in a house that is yours? What is in anything that you call as yours? What is it in the body that you call as yours? Except a wrong thought. Except that continuous wrong mental thought. Mind, mind, mind. That's why they say it's an imaginary bondage. Because in reality it doesn't exist because of continuously repeating this mind, 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 born out of imagination, he says. The Upanishad says, attachment, born out of imagination. So imagination causes bondage. What is liberation? Stop imagining, all of them. But very difficult is to stop. Very difficult is to stop this imagination because the mind finds its peace only if it can claim something as. You have to claim something as yours. Then only there will be a peace. If there is nothing that you can call it as yours, that's why you say, empty, sir. I feel lonely. I feel empty. Why? Because there's nothing that you can call as yours. All that you call as yours, left and gone. Now there is nothing that you can go and claim anything as yours. Able to follow? Again I repeat. What is bondage? Bondage is a wrong mental association. Mind is that which the moment it associates, it starts claiming ownership. It has to claim ownership. Without ownership, it cannot exist. Two fantastic methods they give how to get rid of this ownership. One way is through analysis. They prove, one way of analysis. They try and prove how nothing is yours. Another way, if all is yours, then you cannot have any particular attachment. Vedanta takes the second step. Vedanta says, everything is yours. When everything is yours, why are you particularly developing this? Therefore, what is attachment? What is bondage? A particular association. One way is to say, nothing is yours. You can hear it a million times, it will not work. Vedanta takes a completely different stance. It says, everything is yours. Purnamada, Purnamidam. It's all yours. When everything is yours, you can't claim any particular ownership towards anything specific. What a way to get rid of? What a way to get rid of ownership. Between the two, practice one. Practice one. Vedanta recommends that's why he says, everything is, and who are you? And who are you? Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. You are that. Who are you? Not this you, the real you. And everything belongs to that. I have said this before, I am saying it again. You can understand life in two ways. Life as abundance, life as limited resources. Two ways you can understand life. One way of understanding life is abundance. Another way is limited resources. When you understand life as limited resources, you will be in an urgency. You will be in a hurry. For what? You will be in a hurry. You will be anxious. You will be in an anxiety. For what? To acquire as much as you can. Having acquired, having acquired product because உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது சார். You don't know. You don't have enough experience of life. So philosophy பேசி you have lost touch in. You have lost touch with reality. You have lost touch with reality. How many people have given me advices how to be in touch with reality? The philosophy பேசி you thought you are also a philosopher, sir. We come to the reality. What is the reality? It's limited. Grab it. After grabbing, protect. Hold it. Keep it safe. Keep it safe. Don't give your password to. Yeah. Please, sir, have their password கொடுத்துட்டு sir, we gave the password and we got, even if you don't give password anyway, they will swindle it. So what is the difficulty? Because limited resources. Another way of understanding life is, it is abundance. From the standpoint of the limited self, from the standpoint of the limited ego, everything will appear limited. You can't identify with the ego and try to understand abundance. It's not possible because you are wearing the glasses of, if you wear the black dark glass, everything looks bad. Since you are looking at life through the eyes of the ego, you can never understand abundance because everything will look limited only. But then, what is the reality? The truth. It's abundance. The moment you understand abundance, you can't get attached to, you will not get attached to anything because you know. Attachment is so foolish. Attachment is so foolish. Magrida kasya svidhanam, he says. Isavasya Upanishad, first mantra, he says, Magrida kasya svidhanam. Why are you hoarding? Because you are thinking that you will lose it. Understand? Everything grows in sharing. You hoard it, you lose it. Wealth grows when it is shared. Love grows when it is shared. Knowledge grows when it is shared. Growth happens only through giving. But then, you have to be careful. Illanna others will cheat you. You have cheated yourself already. Now no one can come and you have cheated yourself already. No one can cheat you from outside. The last. Constantly you are looking for happiness, and the only way for happiness is by detachment. Tena tyastena bhunjitam. The only way to enjoyment is through renunciation. But I can't renounce. He has no time to talk after that. I can't renounce. No time to. Isavastyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyastena. The only way to enjoyment is by detachment. Because attachment is wrong mental association. Detachment is build a beautiful house, sea facing. Everyone enjoys the house except all the people who come to the house. They say, what a beautiful house, what a beautiful house. It's beautiful to everyone except to whom? To the well. As you are leaving, he says, யாராவது நல்ல பார்ட்டி இருந்தா Because I'm thinking of disposing it. No. Yeah. Also, they are saying cyclone is going to come more and more and more. So why? Let me go far into the land. When you are detached, you enjoy. To enjoy, Ramatirtha says, to enjoy the beauty of the landscape, you don't have to own it, he says. To enjoy the beauty of the landscape, you don't have to own it. All that you need to do is what? All that you need is what? To enjoy the landscape. You don't need to own it. To enjoy that, all that you need is what? Detached eyes. That's all. All that you need is the detached eyes. But the faulty logic is this. That's where every man falls for. Every human being falls for. What is the faulty logic? If I'm not having it, only if it is so, it can give so much of joy, not? If I have it, how much more joy will I get? Therefore, he desperately tries to acquire, quote, thereby creating bondage. Thereby creating bondage. And what is liberation? The right understanding of the functioning of the mind is liberation. Lastly, understand this. What is liberation? Liberation is nothing but a proper understanding, the right understanding of how the mind functions and how you are a victim of your own mind. This understanding is what is known as moksha. This understanding is what is known as liberation. What is the starting point? Practice titiksha. Not just practicing titiksha, supplementing with knowledge. Main thing is knowledge. Without knowledge, titiksha is the most painful thing. But then understand. What is understanding? They are impermanent. Impermanent means a temporary. It's not an imaginary existence. It is a temporary existence. And it's in your hands. How temporary is that? Temporary. That is under your control. This helps you to attain moksha, liberation.